Hey, assalamu alaikum everyone. And today I want to talk about how I've been trying to learn how to speak a language like for a very long time. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I changed my process to make it more enjoyable, which has had a massive impact. So for those that are new here, I just want to talk about on this channel, I'll be sort of talking about how I am learning different languages as a Muslim and by sharing the best tips that I have found. As I'm sure most of you kind of know, like during high school, secondary school, a lot of people kind of learn the language, but however, it hasn't been very kind of memorable. Like the things that you learn, you don't necessarily always kind of remember. And the way they teach you as well is probably not the most sort of productive, in my opinion, anyway. And essentially, like, I've kind of learned French and stuff like that at secondary school, but I've totally forgot it. It hasn't like really stuck, and there's many reasons for that. And what I'd like to talk about is really I've been trying to learn Arabic for about 10 years now, so it's like a very long time. I just could not stick to it. I just would start and stop, and like, I kind of really wasn't really sort of enjoying the process. And the reason why I wanted to learn Arabic was I went on Hajj, which is like the Islamic Muslim kind of pilgrimage that a lot of people sort of try and do in once in their lifetime. And when I went there, I was amazed to see sort of Westerners speaking fluent Arabic, people that are growing up in countries like the UK and I don't know, maybe the US and places like that. And they were just speaking Arabic like really fluently. And I thought, wow, how did they do that? I thought Arabic was a really, really hard language. And how did these people kind of pick it up? So that got me kind of interested in learning Arabic. And that was something that I wanted to do. So I kind of had to look at doing this, and one of the ways I thought about doing that was just getting an online tutor that would kind of really hold me accountable. And the reason I went for online was because I didn't want to like be traveling somewhere, because that takes a bit of time, and having busy life, family, all of that sort of stuff. I thought, okay, let me try and make it as easy as possible. So I got an online tutors website around called iTalk, which is quite famous. I think a lot of people use that. I don't know if it's. I know there's another website as well that's probably even more popular at the moment, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, iTalk, I was able to get a really good tutor, a really nice, friendly person, and I kind of left it down to him to kind of like decide how I should go about kind of learning Arabic. And we kind of went down the traditional way, where he had a book, a particular book, and we kind of just went through exercises on that. I did sort of pick up a few different things, but however, it was, it did feel like a struggle and quite difficult to kind of work on. And although I made progress, I was forgetting stuff. I couldn't really sort of. I don't feel like I was getting more and more fluent in Arabic, or really kind of just really getting stuck in and really kind of understanding it and stuff like that. So I did that for a while. I think one of the problems I had was generally around the grammar rules. There's so many grammar rules within Arabic. I thought, gosh, how on earth am I going to learn them? There's something called verb conjugation, where the verbs change depending on the tense, like who's saying. So whether you say, I am swimming as opposed to you are swimming, they are swimming, we are swimming. It's like all of these kind of rules, and I was kind of trying to learn them all sort of at the same time. There's also with the different as well, with that kind of related, the different tenses, I, me, you, they, like all of that sort of stuff was kind of like really confusing me and kind of putting me off from learning. I thought, gosh, how am I going to ever learn this language? Then the other thing I thought I'd try is language learning apps. So, for example, Duolingo is a very famous one, with the green sort of owl. I think I did try have a look at a few others, like Babel is another one, and there's quite a lot out there as well. I thought it's on my phone. I thought this would be, a great way to kind of learn language. I could just pop up my phone whenever I want. I kind of use my phone anyway for social media and stuff like that. But however, I couldn't kind of get into it. I just found it a bit repetitive. It wasn't really kind of grabbing my attention. You're just speaking these different words. And another thing I want to say is like all this stuff that I'm saying is just from my opinion. So other people might kind of like that, but I really want to kind of share this just in case this is valuable to anyone else. And then I heard about this other book called Fluent Forever, and that book, and plus a few other kind of things talking about the best way to kind of learn languages and stuff like that, was like using flashcards. And I thought, okay, this sounds really good. It uses this technique called space-based repetition, which is very popular for people studying and stuff like that. I think medical students use that a lot to kind of memorize things and facts and stuff like that. It kind of flips over, and a word that you know really well won't appear in the flash deck often, where something that you don't know as well kind of pops up more regularly. And when I say flashcards, I mean kind of generally like apps again. So you have an app, you create a bunch of flashcards, and then these flashcards kind of pop up depending on how well you do. So if there's a word that I know really well, then that won't pop out as often. Whereas the words that I need to that I'm struggling with, they will kind of pop up more. But again, with this, I found it quite boring. It took me a while to convince myself that I did find it actually boring, and I couldn't kind of keep it up. I made loads of cards actually. I did like loads and loads of Anki cards, and I just couldn't quite get into it. Again, I wasn't feel like I was really kind of picking up enough. Although I was picking up like odd words, I couldn't like really. I don't know. I couldn't put words together and stuff like that. So there's different ways of writing the flashcards, not just one card. You can have sentences with blanks and stuff like that. And again, this does seem to work for people, but I found it very boring. I couldn't kind of really get into it. And then something that I found recently that's kind of really changed my whole mind is looking at polyglots. Polyglots are people that know many languages. There's quite a lot of people out there, and I had a look at quite a lot of different channels. Some like Fluent in 3 months. Zoe Languages is another kind of really interesting channel. They've got lots of kind of interesting techniques on there, and some of them were doing like lots and lots of like hours and do this technique, that technique, and things like that. I was trying to look at which ones kind of appealed to me, and I was kind of just fascinated. How did these people learn all these languages? And one of the reasons I wanted to learn a language is just I think it's amazing, like feeling just to learn something and being able to communicate with people in different languages and different cultures. I just thought it's so cool. Like whenever I've seen anyone that speaks multiple languages, I thought it's amazing. And I came across this channel called by Steve Kaufman. So he's also known as Lingo Steve. So that's probably the easiest way if you're searching for him on the social media. He's got a really good YouTube channel, which is available as a podcast as well. And I think he's about 70 years old. And he knows lots of languages. I'm not just talking about French, German, English, but also things like Chinese, Arabic. He's learning Persian, like French as well. He knows very well. And I thought, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. And one thing that he kind of talked about was when you look at a language is to try and read and listen to content in that language that you enjoy. So for example, when I was trying to learn Arabic, which I am at the moment, I'm trying to look for TV shows that I might find interesting, and I'll put on the Arabic subtitles, and then I'll just sort of watch it. And what's really good about him is like it's not about just forcing away through textbooks and stuff like that, but just kind of enjoying the process and just seeing how it goes, and just letting little bits kind of just pick up. You will naturally just pick up little bits, and it's very important to make it enjoyable, because when you do make it enjoyable, then it's more likely to be something that you stick to. I think that was one of the problems for me, was I just was not like kind of sticking to a language. I would start it and I wasn't kind of enjoying it. It was this way I'm actually kind of enjoying it, and I am kind of sticking to a language. For a long time I'm kind of learning Arabic and French at the same time. The reason I'm learning French is because I'm planning to go to France later on this year and around Europe, so I thought it would be quite handy to learn that. So so that's the kind of thing that's happening. And I guess the other question comes up is, do you need a book? Is it worth learning a language from a book? And looking at the content from Steve, Lingo Steve, and a few other people as well, it's probably good to have some sort of starter book just to build that basis. And the one I use is Asimil, and I plan to kind of do a video about that later on. It's a very good book actually. It's probably the best book I've used, and I really like their style. They've got a particular way of kind of teaching you a language, which I really like, and I'll talk about that in another video. And just to kind of go back to learning French, I'm actually learning French from kind of YouTube. So I'm watching like food cooking shows because I really love food. One of the reasons of kind of going around Europe is, I want to try different foods and things like that. So it's a good way to kind of keep me engaged. I've got subtitles running and using tools to kind of revert, just to, translate certain words, and, I pick up tiny bits, but I'm actually sticking to it, which is the most important thing. And and I'll kind of, hopefully share my progress as we go through on this channel. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, as it really helps with our algorithm.